Okay, so S-Fand made a video, by the way. Blizzard never gave us the best version of Classic WoW. I'm betting this has to do with TBC, because I mean, we're in the TBC era right now, and let's see what he has to say. It's a 25-minute video, but I've been really enjoying the S-Fand takes on the Burning Crusade so far. So we are going to see what he has to say about this as well. I will give you guys the link to the video before we start watching it here as well, so you can give it a like if you haven't yet. Let me just do this. We are in a dungeon right now. I am slacking big time, and I will give you guys the link over here on Twitch, so you can give it a like if you haven't yet. There we go. All right.
I truly believe that Blizzard, to date, has not created the best version of Classic WoW. So I'm actually not talking about Classic Plus. I'm not talking about like a Season of Mastery, Season of Discovery. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about a true vanilla WoW experience.
I mean, Classic Plus is going to be the best version of Classic though, right? 100%. I mean, maybe to me, 2019 was peak vanilla. Or peak Classic, I think. Because back then, a lot of things was brand new to me, because I had... When I played Vanilla WoW in like, what, 2005, 2004, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, I don't remember much. I remember walking through the Barrens. I went through the Barrens both as Horde and Alliance. I remember Stranglethorn Vale, Duskwood, but I don't remember anything, like the quests or anything. So me playing Classic WoW in 2019, everything just felt new but old at the same time, and I don't think I'll ever get that same feeling playing any video game basically ever again. I do have high hopes for Classic Plus, and Season of Discovery kind of captured the same element of being at home but discovering something new at the same time, but by the essence of being a season, I didn't like it that much, because when you say season of something, you already know by the name that at some point the season ends, and well, I don't like seasonal things in games. I think it makes sense as a testing ground to like see what works and stuff, but seasons in MMORPGs are so anti-MMORPG, because when playing MMORPGs, you want to know that your time is valuable long term. Like, MMOs are a huge time investment. You want to know that you can play this game for years to come. When you call something a season, you pretty much know from the start you can't do that. Yeah, I don't like it, man. Season of Discovery to me should never have been Season of Discovery. It should just have been Classic WoW Discovery, and they could have promised us a Discovery era at the end from the start. That way we knew this is basically a fresh server, like with stagnated content phases, and at the end you will have a Discovery era to stay in forever.
Experience that is peak. They have yet to do it because they ignored too many things in 2019. I do think Blizzard has made a lot of bad decisions with Classic. They've made a lot of good decisions, but they've also made a lot of bad decisions that have led to a shift in the community, and a lot of true vanilla WoW players, the people that love.
I mean, right now, one of the changes they've made is that back in the days they used to communicate a lot. Now they are not communicating at all. We are 6 days away from the TBC pre-patch, and we don't know when TBC comes out yet. A lot of people are angry. I'm seeing angry YouTube videos, Twitter posts and everything, and they still refuse to communicate. They don't care about us. So, like, one of the big changes they have made is just not communicating. And it's such an easy thing to fix. Just start communicating. It is crazy. It's like they're farming a bad rep, man. They are farming Blood Sail Buccaneers' reputation by killing the pirates. I don't know, they're farming hatred, man.
Vanilla WoW and love Classic WoW and fought for legacy servers, like my era of people. They're not really around as much anymore, because a lot of them either moved on, they either gave up and moved on, or they went back to private servers. It's one or the other. Or they...
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because gold buying is so huge on regular Classic servers, and people do mage boosting all the time. If you want legendaries, you have to pay for them. Soft reserve loot, people like hard reserve everything now, and they sell the hard reserves, and people even sell their soft reserves as well. It's all about selling, making money from the video game, selling loot, selling gold, swiping, buying boosts, buying mage boosts, skipping the game, just raid logging. A lot of the people that pushed to get Classic WoW, they don't play Classic WoW anymore.
Died. Okay, we're not that old. Yeah, guys, Blizzard doesn't understand what an old school RPG MMO even means. Everything they do is like, they're trying to cater to what the dad gamer thinks they like. But why do your games keep having this massive fall off? To be fair, this happens to every MMO. Every single MMO, whenever it launches, it's gonna have this big hit, boom, and then people are just gonna be like, all right, whatever, I'm tired of this. You remember you think you do, but you don't?
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous?
Oh, what is he gonna say about this? Is he gonna say you think you do, but you don't, and you actually didn't? There's no way. There's no way that is the angle we're going with here, man.
Expansions as they were then?
No, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
You think you do.
This was the most cringe moment I've ever seen in my life, by the way. Oh, you think you do, but you don't. Remember those times when you had to walk to the dungeon, and no you don't, because now you just click a button and get teleported there. Yeah, because that is what we wanted, right? Yeah. Every classic WoW Andy celebrated when he said that. Oh, we can just click a button and get teleported, dude, let's go.
Do, but you don't, changed into you think you don't, but you do. And they started hard catering to people who'd go on forums and stuff and be like, oh, I don't have time to raid and wipe and work through the content. So it's like they put out the easiest version of the content, they put out the strongest version of the classes, they put out the strongest version of the gear, and they make everything so miserably easy and boring that there's a massive fall off and drop off of casual players. The average classic WoW player gets so bored. There's nothing in the world that I loved more than classic WoW, and I still believe that. You know how you can love something but you don't like it? That's how I feel with Vanilla WoW. With Blizzard's Vanilla WoW, that's how I feel. Like, I love Vanilla WoW so much, but I don't like what Blizzard has done with it. I don't like...
Basically, you love the idea of Vanilla WoW and you love what it used to be, and now it's just not the same anymore, right?
The mentality that they've done it, because it's caused a shift in the whole community. And then now it's like, okay, well, if we go back, are we going against the community? I think what you're going to be doing is you're going to be giving the community something that they don't even know that they like. I played a game recently called Parasite Eve. Have any of you guys played Parasite Eve? And when I played Parasite Eve, I was like, oh my gosh, Parasite Eve is insane. I've never played this game before. It's the game that came out after Final Fantasy VII and before Final Fantasy VIII from Square Enix. It's based on a book in Japan. And I was like, oh my gosh. This game, the story, the gameplay, the pacing, everything, the sounds, unbelievable. I'm doing the boss fights in Parasite Eve and you're like dodging mechanics and I'm like, dude, this has more mechanics than Vanilla WoW, a PlayStation game from 1997. What is happening? That was how I felt. And I thought about it, I'm like, well, actually, I start doing things and I'm like, wait, this is kind of like that one fight. This is kind of like this, this is kind of like that. It's kind of cool. I legit feel like I'm doing raid mechanics. Turns out, one of the games that inspired the idea behind a lot of like the original classic WoW boss fights, raid design, was Parasite Eve. But you would never know this if you played Blizzard's 2019 Classic. If you played Classic in the recent re-releases, you would never know. Why? Because you never see the mechanics. Why? It's not because the fights are easy. It's not because everyone knows everything. It's because of the culmination of so many different things that have happened. The fights are easy. Everyone does have the information available to them if they want to know everything, but they don't. Most people don't know the fights in WoW. That's another thing I've learned. Most people don't know a lot of the fights at all. They have no idea what's going on, but it's because they do so much damage and the bosses have such little health. Everybody has faster computers, everybody has better equipment, you know, you have like 12 buttons on your mouse, all this stuff. Everybody is just higher performing. So you got better gear in real life. Your gear in game is the best version of the gear that you have. Patch 1.12, all the progressive itemization. You have 1,000 different add-ons exactly. So everything becomes easy. And then this leads to classic WoW being boring. Why? Why was it? Why? But hold on. Why did we not feel like this when we played on private servers? How did Nostalrius come out and like spark this freaking like revolution of wanting legacy servers? I mean, it didn't really start it, but it lit the thing on fire because
it kinda started it though, didn't it? I mean, maybe it didn't start, but yeah, like you said, it really pushed the narrative. And that is when the whole thing really took off, right?
They made changes. So I had this conversation with Blizzard before the classic WoW.
And we have seen a recent server, like in very recent times as well, spark a very similar movement, which could lead to Classic Plus. And could lead to Classic Plus being pretty similar to, well, that one, you know? You know what I'm talking about.
Beta. Like I was invited to like a private sort of creator event, and it was basically Classic Cast was like the only Classic creators that got invited to it, right? Other than that, it was like some like Blizzard OGs, you know? And I remember sitting down at a table, I was sitting across the table with some of the devs, and I'm telling them about things like progressive itemization, you know, the concept of progressive itemization. I talked about how the goalpost is moving. Like, well, you're adding like all 1.12 items, all 1.12 class balance, all 1.12 like post nerf raids and everything. The content is going to be incredibly easy. You're putting all the best gear in the game in, and it drops off the mobs at the beginning. Now, here's the funny part. They disagreed and they said they don't want to do this, right? Here's the funny part. The community had done the work. There's a website called itemization.info, which now no longer exists. But at the time, it was a fan project to get every version of every item in WoW and how it changed throughout the patches, and it was amazing. I'm trying to get access to the database because I want to show it to the current Classic team and be like, please, you guys really need to make a version of Classic WoW like this. You guys have to make a version of Classic WoW like this, and I'm telling you, it'll be peak. Go through, change the fights, not the mechanics. Was it Season of Mastery where they made the fights like different and harder, and none of that?
Yeah, it was basically Season of Mastery, and nobody liked that. I mean, to be fair, some people did, but yeah, it never really took off. I think Season of Discovery was better, and I liked what they did with Molten Core heat levels to a certain degree. I don't like how it made you not equip your best in slotted gear, because now you had to meet an arbitrary fire resistance number in order to not get one shot. Like, if you didn't have that number, you would just die. It was, yeah, I didn't like that part, but I liked the idea, I think.
Give the bosses more armor. Give them more health.
Exactly. That right there is what I have been saying for a while. Heat levels in Molten Core should just be Molten Core with maybe a couple more, maybe not even new mechanics, but I mean, having a mechanic or two extra to deal with is okay. But the main thing is more armor, so you do less damage to the boss, and the boss does more damage to you, and it has more health. And now you have a harder version of that boss fight, instead of having to arbitrarily unequip your gear and get fire resistance for the only purpose of having fire resistance. Like, me having best in slot gear and having to unequip it is such a bad feeling. It feels like I'm nerfing myself to make the content harder. And that is not a good feeling. Why do I need to nerf myself to make the content harder?
You know, change some stuff like that. The intent behind this is not to make the fights harder.
Yeah.
The intent behind this is to actually do the fights. A lot of Classic WoW content these days, you can be in pre-raid gear and you don't even do the fights. You skip all the mechanics. Like, dude, I remember wiping on Lucifron because we didn't get Dispels out. On Magmadar, we got to dispel these fears. I remember doing all these different fights where it's like, you need decurses, you need this, you got to do all these things. Like, I remember in OG Vanilla, like, you had to have the decursive add-on, otherwise you had no chance. I remember all these things, right? Now, OG Vanilla is whatever. I don't care about, in this example, in this comparison, OG Vanilla WoW, OG Classic WoW matters very little, because what we saw in private servers was so good.
Yeah.
And what we saw in private servers was not what we saw in OG Classic WoW. And I talked about this. And this is why from the beginning, like, there was like the big whole no changes thing. And there was a lot of people that talked about no changes. I would make no changes jokes. But I even made a video years ago that I'm like, yo, Classic WoW needs some things changed. Like, you have to account for the times. I think it's so important for them to approach Classic WoW in such a way that it's like, hey, let's tweak these fights, change some of the resistance values, change some things here. You don't have to go change a bunch of the mechanics. A lot of under the hood stuff. Most of the people playing on private servers, the people who were on the front lines freaking fighting and saying, hey, we want legacy servers, hey, we want Classic WoW, hey, we want all these things, didn't know these differences. I didn't know a lot of these differences either, you know? I knew some things were different. I didn't know what, but I didn't have the data. Nobody had the data, not the exact data. So now that you have the data and you see that everything is actually so much easier than what we thought it was, the words that came from my mouth is, look, people keep talking about the authentic vanilla experience. There is a difference between factual authenticity.
I don't think we'll ever get the authentic vanilla experience again, because of the level of information that is currently available online and will always be available online. So like even if you took away all the information that is currently available online, the level of which people obtain information right now is on a different level than it was back in 2004 and like early nostalgious days as well, where people just didn't know what we know right now. And I swear, we like, let's just say Classic WoW or Vanilla WoW is a figured out game. If you took away these people, like myself as well, take away all of our knowledge, and it took us 20 years to obtain that knowledge, I'm telling you, in today's day and age, it would take us less than 1 year to get all that knowledge over again, because now people are on another level when it comes to exploring the game, finding out about things, and just like, yeah, finding the knowledge and then spreading it online. What took us 20 years to learn the first time will take us way less time to learn this time. You will never get the authentic Vanilla WoW experience ever again.
And the feeling of authenticity. And most people don't know that there's a difference between the two because they don't know all this information. I don't know all this information. A lot of people don't know. I know the information is different, but I don't know what it is. But you guys do, Blizzard. So just go in there and you know how it works. You have like the classic team and you have like people making decisions and you got this chain of command and everything goes up the chain and it comes back down the chain for approvals. That's why private servers were so good, is because they didn't have to deal with the whole bureaucracy. They could just say like, okay, we're gonna send it. We're gonna try this. Hey, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. We'll see what happens. And it would be good. And it would be bad.
Yeah.
And then they would change it. And then, okay, now it's good. They would always try and find a way to make things better by being just boom, on the ball. But you have to be willing to hand people the keys and say, hey, take ownership of this, send it, see what happens. Look at these Titan Forge servers. The Titan Forge servers in China, unreal.
Yeah, dude, I'm so sad, by the way, that we don't have the Titan Forge servers over here in EU and North America. I just don't know. Why make that China only? Like, why is that China only? I don't get it. This should have been available to both EU and NA. And yo, no hit Jerome finding a way to sneak into a S-fan video. Damn, dude, let's go! Yeah, but Titan Reforged became massively popular. It became so popular that almost every streamer started streaming it and got themselves onto the Chinese servers. Also, you guys are saying that the release date is out. Is it really? Can you link? I don't know if I trust you guys. You've been baiting me for the last 2 days. Is it actually on the 5th?
Real how good the reception of that is. I'm personally actually not a big fan of it. I mean, to me, it's basically Wrath of the Lich King, and I don't like Wrath that much. But the reception has been so good. The reception to them making these custom changes and trying these different things has been very, very good. Because I don't know who's in charge, but whoever it is at NetEase or whoever is running the show on Titan Forged, Chinese Classic WoW, Wrath, like their version of Season Discovery, it's so refreshing to see that, hey,
it's out? Okay, we're gonna check that out right after this video then. Damn, there's no... Hey yo, hey yo, look at the title, man. I told you, didn't I? Yeah. I told you. Guaranteed today for sure, for real. We have not been baiting that for like the last 2 days. No way. I told you, it was today, man. Yeah.
Hey, they're just sending it, and it's good. I'm jealous of the amount of things they're changing with buffing weaker specs and adding new legendaries. Yeah. Now, what they're doing is actually much different and much more than what I would want to see them do with Classic WoW. And I'm not talking about Classic Plus. I'm talking about, like, I want them to make Season of S-Fan. Okay? Which is basically...
What did bro say? Season of S-Fan? Bro, what are you... There's no way. Season of S-Fan. Let's go. That's my type of season, bro.
Just freaking lights hope. It's basically just, you know, that's it. Season of S-Fan, literally, it's just lights hope. It's just a private server from 2018. You know, it's basically just Elysium. It's basically just Nostalrius.
I don't know what any of... Oh, I do know what that last name means. I didn't play on any other Voldemort server before Nostalrius.
That's Season of S-Fan. No, I mean, there's stuff that we've learned over the years, right? And you need to make these changes to account for the times. And like I said, I don't want them to make the content harder. And this is the key point that I want to make. A lot of times whenever I talk to people about this, like I'll have this conversation with people, nobody ever comes back at me with logic. I'm a very logical person. But I feel like you can't be truly logical without factoring in any degree of emotions. I think you need to factor in emotions in order to be the most logical you can be, because it does drive people's decision making and people's feelings. For example, there's some people that just mentally, I know that it's post nerf. And because I know that it's post nerf, I just don't even want to do this, because it's like, I don't even want to level. I don't want to play Burning Crusade. I know. Some people. Other people, it could go the other way. This is what I think Blizzard should do. I think Blizzard should say, you know what? We're not doing post nerf. We're not even doing pre nerf for the raids. This is for Burning Crusade Classic that's coming out. We're doing our own thing, and we're just gonna play by ear. We're gonna manually go through and we're gonna adjust every boss with the sole intent to be, hey, when these bosses are being done, it is intended that you do the mechanics, that you actually see the boss fight, that you get to play the game. And the end goal being, hey, I'm stacked up, I got all this gear, I outgear the hell out of this, and then you get to skip phases, you get to skip mechanics. That is the most badass feeling in PvE, when you get to skip a phase.
It really is, yeah. Like, it really is. This is when the game starts peaking, because, like, you experience the full fight, and then the more gear you get, the more the more gear you get, the better gear you get as well, the more things you can start skipping, and you feel like a god, because now you can skip an entire phase of a boss. I mean, the same thing goes in retail, kinda, where when everyone has a full best in slot, suddenly you can kill a certain endgame boss before the phase even happens. We did this, I have to go back to World of Draenor, by the way, because that is when I was actively raiding at a high level myself. When everybody had best in slot gear, we skipped Mana Rot mechanics, and also Archimon mechanics, and even one full phase of, it was either Sulhurak or the big demon, summoning the waves and those pylons, right? And we also had 2 rogues, and we skipped we had 2 rogues, and for Mana Rot we even used an alt rogue as well, and we skipped a whole phase by having soul cap trinkets on the rogues, and blade flurrying on the imps, stockpiling the damage, and exploding it on the boss. It did like, what, 20% of the boss's health in 1 second. It was crazy.
Because you're doing so much damage. But when you do that in pre-raid gear, that doesn't feel good. It feels like you're just hitting a trash mob. I felt like the trash mobs were harder than the bosses in the Burning Crusade raid testing that we did. By the way, I think pre-nerf is so easy, it's actually even still too easy for this. On some fights. On other fights, not. But on some fights, yes. A fight where it's not, tier 5. Lady Vosh, Kael'thas. Incredibly difficult, especially Lady Vosh. I think Kael'thas was not so bad. Lady Vosh, really bad pre-nerf. Kael'thas was kind of boring. Actually, they were both boring post-nerf, now that I remember. I remember being really disappointed about Kael'thas post-nerf. Damn, Kael'thas pre-nerf was so sick. I'm remembering the fight now, when it goes up and you go pick up the weapon, and Kael'thas pre-nerf was, I just remember I remember the heart beating. I remember like, oh shit, here we go. But like, yeah, heroic dungeons being harder than raids, it's absurd. It doesn't make sense. The intent should never be to make it so hard that people can't do it. That's not what it's about. The core argument that I'm making is the average player, the casual player, will get bored and they will not want to play the game anymore. If people are like, oh, I just want to knock back a couple brews with the boys, get some loot. That's what I want to do. So are these your boys? If you wipe once or twice, you get frustrated and you can't play with them anymore? Is your boys still? No.
This is basically anniversary now, by the way, because like previously, if you go back to 2019, people would be so forgiving about wipes, and you would just keep going, you learn the things together. If there's one wipe now in a raid, I swear, some people leave from one wipe, and if you have 2 wipes, the raid is disbanded. People don't want to people just want to do the raid now. It's way less about the relationship you make while you're raiding, way less about just going in and doing the raid, just everyone is so impatient, it feels like. Now, here's the thing, we are replaying Classic WoW for the 6th time at the moment with like Classic WoW, Season of Mastery, Season of Discovery, official hardcore servers, Anniversary. Yeah, a lot of times, a lot of Classic WoW, basically. And I get that people get way more impatient and care less about the other aspects of the game over time, because like, when you play Classic WoW 5 times or 6 times, At some point, you just stop caring about certain things. So some people don't like leveling to 60 anymore, so mage boosting is, for example, way more popular than it ever has been. Some people don't want to farm gold, meanwhile in 2019 they were happy to do so, and I get it, because now you don't care about that aspect, and you just want to raid log, right? Some part of the game you just stop caring about after 6 years, and that is completely fine.
Like, what do you, come on. And what are you going to do when you get all the loot? What are you going to do when you get all the gear? You're just going to quit? Maybe, maybe not. But I will say this. When you get all the gear, what do? You run the raid. The raids are now boring. They're easy. You're hanging out with your other 9 buddies in Karazhan. But you're like, man, I could play like a lot of other games. There's a lot of other games that I could play that I could get that social, I could raise my social bar up than this easy classic WoW. I got all the gear. I have nothing to gain. I'm just here talking to people in Discord. So why not play something else if that's more engaging for me? It's not 2007 anymore. I get that. But Blizzard has to get that too. And that comes from 2 different ways. One of those ways being that there's so many other ways for people to spend their time and to kind of get their social meter up than there is playing WoW. Why not play retail if what you want is a challenge in WoW? That's not what I'm saying. Well, first off, retail WoW is a completely different game. It's a completely different design.
I kind of hate this, by the way. Like, just play retail if you want a challenge in WoW. It's okay to want a challenge in WoW and don't like the way retail is right now. Retail has derived very far away from the path of Classic, and some people don't even see it as the same game anymore. It is way less about orcs versus humans and more about, well, everything else, right? And they are just making up lore to be like, oh, this is bad guy, this bad Void Lord that is out of nowhere, has no lore connections to like Warcraft or anything, and you're supposed to care about him for some reason. Go play this game. What if you just want to have orcs versus humans and you want to have a bad guy that is actually a real bad guy and it's a hard fight? I don't know. Maybe some people want to have a challenge in Classic WoW and maybe that's okay.
Kind of game, top to bottom, it's completely different. It's not the same MMO. I would call it a different subgenre of MMO altogether. There's very little similarities at this point in the gameplay of like Vanilla and Burning Crusade as there is Midnight, you know, as there is War Within. The point that I was making earlier is when the casuals get their gear, if you have nothing to do in the game, you're just gonna get bored and quit. My entire perspective on all this stuff is coming from the casual perspective, not from the streamer perspective, not from a sweat perspective of if I was like, look, if you're a streamer, it's better for you to have post-nerf. Selfishly, I could just get a bunch of randoms in the raid and it's, you know, and then I can do goofy stuff and I can die and I can goof off and I can troll, you know, and I can just do content, right? It's better. I get that for me personally, but that's selfish. If I'm a sweat, right? If I'm somebody who's like trying to be a parse monkey, big number go up. Even better. I don't have to think about mechanics. I just have to think about hitting my rotation as good as possible. Even better. It's better for me. You know? Like if that's what I was doing, I'm not really planning on doing that in this Burning Crusade anyway. I just want a PvP. What I care about, truly, I care about the health of the game. And I know that the casual player is the lifeblood of the game. The people that are playing, you know, not all day every day, because the people that play all day every day in their sweats are going to be there anyway. But the people that are like, they do some PvP, they do some PvE, they raid, this, because once you get your gear, if everything is like you're fighting trash mobs, you're just going to get bored. But if, hey, I have my gear, and then now I'm doing the mechanics, and everything is easier because I have gear. It is easier. Maybe I get to skip a phase because we're doing so much damage now. I don't think that should really happen that much unless you're like hitting the consumes and okay, everybody haste pot at this time. Okay, this is a big phase to be able to pump damage. If you're on the ball with that stuff, then yeah, like I think that should be possible in the current phase. But I don't think that should be like an expectation that everybody should be able to start skipping phases or skipping mechanics. A good example is like I ran these raids with randoms, with people who had never run Karazhan before, with people that had never done these Magtheridon, never done Gruels, people that hadn't played in years. Like our paladin tank in Karazhan, he literally had not played WoW at all in a year, loaded up his account, goes in there, has his, you know, dungeon set gear on, his blues, tanks Karazhan for us. He didn't even play paladin tank, by the way. Like he just played a paladin tank on PR, but that's not what he played normally. He wasn't a paladin tank. He had no idea what he's doing. He learned it on the fly. We would forget what some of the mechanics are. Like we forgot about how the silence works on Iron Maiden in Karazhan. Like Iron Maiden is actually a wonderful fight. But think, how many people watching this video like know the mechanics of the Iron Maiden fight in Karazhan? Where it's like, oh, okay, I'm getting repentance, but I need to, like, before the repentance, run into the consecrate so that I take damage, so it breaks the repentance. Like, that's a very cool mechanic. Like, that is cool. You've got the chain lightnings, you've got the silence, and like, there's positioning that goes in, there's timing. Like, it's a very, very cool fight. The idea of it is like,
here's the thing, right? I also think it's a cool fight, but I think the raids in TBC Anniversary, like, there's a reason why Blizzard is doing post-nerf, and the raids are meant to be forgiving, because they know that right now a lot of people are pugging the raids, and they know, like he said as well, people are way less about the community building right now, way less about raiding with your boys, and a lot of people are pugging the raids, and when you're pugging, if you have 1 or 2 wipes, people simply leave, and if enough people leave, the raid disbands, and now your whole lockout is messed up, and they want to make sure that your lockout does not get messed up, in which case post-nerf makes a lot of sense. So what I would advocate for is having the option, so like to swap between, so you would have an NPC at the start, kind of like in Season of Discovery, in Molten Core with the heat levels, you could activate heat level 1, heat level 2, or heat level 3. What about having this in TBC Anniversary? Giving you post-nerf by default, but by interacting with the NPC, it has a dialogue option, stating, I want to experience the raid in a more difficult state, and boom, pre-nerf raid. That would give you the option between pre-nerf or post-nerf. Problem solved, right? And I feel like anybody who only wants pre-nerf and not post-nerf, so like if you're on the train where you want pre-nerf, but you don't want the option that I just talked about, that feels like a toxic level of gatekeeping where you want people that are bad at the game to not get the same amount of loot as you are. In which case you basically want pre-nerf to showcase how big your online penis is, compared to other people.
like very cool. But like, we just kind of ignored everything. And when you do everything post-nerf, it just kills the mechanics. I'll take it a step further. You can do everything pre-nerf. All the mechanics are gone a lot of times. They are. A lot of the mechanics are still gone pre-nerf. We did pre-nerf Karazhan in 2020, 2021, whenever Classic Burning Crusade came out. We did the pre-nerf Karazhan. And there was a big discussion on, wait, is this Karazhan post-nerf? This is so easy. Why is this so easy?
Yeah, dude, to be fair, Karazhan pre-nerf is not that hard. I mean, I did Karazhan as well pre-nerf back in TBC Classic, and I felt like the raid was easier than dungeons. In pre-nerf, by the way. I think for Gruul and Mag, it's a whole different story, but for Karazhan, I felt like that raid was easy. To be fair, I was a healer, so all I did was look at health bars. When the health bar went low, I made it go back to full. So like, low bar, I make it go big bar. If I see a red bar, I make it go green. Not really that hard. But the raid as well, we barely ever wiped, you know?
One of all the factors that everybody talks about. Oh, all the information is available. We have better computers, better internet, better this, better that, better that.
Yeah.
But also it's like our gear is better. There's like certain stuff that like they have done progressive
Thank you, Trumping. Look at the pinned chat, by the way. I will talk about it in a second.
itemization for, like, what's the mace? Crafted mace is a main hand that becomes a one hand in a later path. Is it Dragon Maw? What's that mace called? Why are we talking heavily about mechanics so much for classics? Seems redundant. What you just said proves my point entirely. You don't know because nobody sees these mechanics that they've designed because they've made the game too easy. They've given us the best version of the characters. They've given the best version of the gear. Your statement that you just made is my exact point. That is why Blizzard has never done the best version of Classic WoW. I'm not talking about Classic Plus. I'm not talking about Season of Discovery. I'm not talking about Season of whatever. They have not done the best version of vanilla WoW that they possibly can. And it's so easy. The blueprint was made years and years ago. 10 years ago, the blueprint has been around. It was on private servers. It was on the thing that led this big push for these legacy servers that have brought an immense subscriber base back to your game that came from the original like vanilla community, the private server community. That's where it came from. There's a reason why it worked so well. And to be fair, I also know why a lot of those things work differently in private servers than they do in legal business world of how you operate. I talked about like kind of the chain of command and checks and balances and this and that. Very different. However, maybe I'll talk more about this in the future. But I know there's people at Blizzard that know what they're doing. I know there's people at Blizzard that you guys...
I think they know what they're doing, and I think they know what their customers are, and that's why they're doing a post-nerf. I think pre-nerf, there's a lot of vocal minorities for pre-nerf, and here's the thing. Right now online as well, I think I'm seeing about 30% of people speaking that they really want pre-nerf, but 70% of people are happy with post-nerf. I'm gonna say that probably means there's way more post-nerf people, by the way, because when a change is happening that you are happy about, chances are you shut up, because you are happy now. When people are mad, that is when they start speaking. So like, if you make people mad, or you're mad about a change, suddenly you make a WoW forum post, you make a Reddit tweet, you make a YouTube video. When you're mad, you start talking about it. If you are pre-nerf Andy and you are getting post-nerf, you will voice your frustrations, but not everybody is voicing that they're happy. They take the change, they're happy, they say thumbs up to Blizzard, and they never talk again. Ever. So if I'm seeing right now 30% of people being for pre-nerf and 70% of people being for post-nerf, I think the ratio is even more in favor of post-nerf when you think about the vocal minority versus the, not vocal or silent majority.
Love the game. I know there's people on the classic team that love the game, that have seen these things, just like us, hardcore OG WoW players from 2004. You guys are there too. Some of you guys worked on the game back then, okay? The stuff is there, and it's super doable. I just really hope that they just do it right. And it's funny, because everybody's talking about Classic Plus, and I'm like, I'm a Classic Plus guy. I really am. I put Classic Plus here, and I put TBC here, right next to each other. When I look at TBC, I'm excited. Oh, the arena's back. We're gonna go in with a Rep Paladin. We're gonna get Gladiator again. We're gonna do all this stuff. Oh man, I remember the raids, right? The raids were cool. All this stuff, right? I loved Burning Crusade, the seal twisting, seal of blood, seal of command. I got my Crusader strike, all these things for the PvE side of things. For the PvP side of things, it's like, yeah, oh, I got shamans. I got a shaman who has my back now. We got Wind Fury Totem. I have all these things. We're going into the arena, right? We're laying the frickin' smack down, getting Gladiator. I get excited about Burning Crusade. Now I look at Classic Plus, and I'm like, is Blizzard gonna do this? Is Blizzard gonna do that? What do they think about this? Oh, but I saw in retail they've done this. Oh, but I've seen in SOD they've done this. Oh, I saw in Season of Mastery they did this.
The announcement is out. I know. Are people incapable of looking at the pinned comment, or did I pin the wrong comment? I tried to pin something. I know it's out. We're gonna talk about it soon.
I saw in Era they did this. I saw in, it's all these different things, all these different discussions of all these different things that all these people want. And everybody wants something different. And I'm like, look, I want it to be good. The number one thing that I care about whenever it comes to WoW and the WoW community, I don't even care about it for me anymore. Truthfully, like, I want to play WoW and I want it to be good. But I want the game to be good because it's so personally important.
No Classic Plus for now. We don't spend enough money like China.
True. We don't. Well, I mean, that's not really like my vision of like what Classic Plus should be. And I'm down to talk about it some other time. And maybe I'll make some more videos like this. Or I'll talk.
The real reason why they're focusing so hard on Titan Report, by the way, let's go. That's crazy.
Talk more about it. But I want to look at Classic Plus as like, it's some cross section between Vanilla WoW and Burning Crusade, and the general mentality, almost like the tagline, is what if Vanilla never ended? But there's some kind of cross section between Burning Crusade and Vanilla. Like for me, as a Retribution Paladin main, I would love for there to be like, if we had like some kind of seal twisting type of gameplay in PvE, like something like that being there would be sick. Maybe you don't give us Crusader Strike. Maybe you give Prop Paladins Righteous Defense. This is for another video, right? And I could talk about that for ages. But the bottom line is, I still think Blizzard has just not done the best version of Classic WoW that they can. And everybody's always ready to move on to the next thing. And Burning Crusade being my favorite expansion, from a gameplay perspective, Burning Crusade is my favorite version of my favorite gameplay, which is like, I like doing arenas. I even like the raiding with the PvE stuff. World PvP stuff, in some ways, like, people are gonna think I'm crazy saying this. Paladin is better in some ways in Vanilla than it is in Burning Crusade, in some ways. And those ways are all related to like Battlegrounds and World PvP and certain things that you can do. But that's just coming from my class perspective of talking about that, right? But the reason I bring that up is because Burning Crusade is my favorite gameplay version of WoW. The social side and the guild leading and all that comes with vanilla is I mean, I love that too. I love doing that.
I fully understand why TBC is his favorite version of WoW, by the way. And I'm gonna say TBC is very good. I personally like Wrath more, but that is because I'm a Wrath baby. I started playing vanilla WoW, but I was stupid and young, and I had no idea what the game was about. In Wrath, when Wrath OG came out, like 2007 or 2008, I don't know. But I played at the last stage of Wrath, and that is when I really started getting into the game, right? But what I was gonna say is that TBC is the expansion that is most vanilla-like. And it makes sense, because it is the expansion after vanilla, so the game still feels vanilla-ish. The raids are still hard, I mean, post-nerf, maybe not, but it's still the expansion that is most vanilla-like. Wrath is where it starts getting more easy, you have Dungeon Finder, Cataclysm, we get Raid Finder, like, it starts getting more easy. TBC is still vanilla-ish, and he plays a paladin. Paladins kinda suck ass in vanilla WoW if you're not healing. So as a ret paladin, TBC is miles better than vanilla WoW, right?
Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I know there's a lot of people very passionate about this game. I will always be incredibly passionate about this.
And just in case somebody doesn't know who he is, Esfand plays a paladin. I mean, he probably plays other classes as well, but a huge ret paladin Andy. That's why I brought up the ret paladin example. Just in case anybody is out of the loop, okay?
Game. Like I said, whether you see me playing it on stream or not, whether any of these things, I love vanilla WoW. I love classic WoW. I'm a big believer and supporter of the provision of classic WoW. And I think that it was such a massive part of gaming history, and not just for the genre of MMOs, but also for, just gaming in general, right? Huge part of so many people's lives. A lot of the biggest content creators in the world grew up playing this game. Right, so coming from the content creator side of things, it was a huge game, even in like pop culture, from like South Park. You'll see it in the store. You get freaking trolleys, sour bright crawlers. You get Pringles, and it's got World of Warcraft, and that's really all it is for me. That's where I come from. Is I love WoW. I love Classic, and I want the best version of Classic WoW to be available for the people that want to play it forever. Whether or not, like I said, whether or not I'm playing it or not, it matters less to me, because I got the stuff that I got to do, but I really want that to be there, and I really believe it can be. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Twitter. I have good tweets sometimes. Join my Discord. Follow my YouTube. Sub to my YouTube channel, my Twitch, my Kick, Instagram, my Reddit.
I first saw your stream when Classic first released. It's awesome to see your love for the game even still.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, Gom. Thank you for the 1 year, dude. Yeah, even if I'm not playing all the time, I love this. I really love this game. It means so much to me. So everything is SFan TV on every platform. If it exists, it's SFan TV. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe, all those things. I do all kinds of different stuff here. And also, I do a lot of roleplay stuff these days. And I started a new YouTube channel called SFan RP for like Cletus Cornwood roleplay stuff. If you guys want to go follow that. It's all on the YouTube channel, like other channels. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.
All right. There we go. There we go. That was a long one, but I agree with a lot of the things he said, by the way. A really interesting take as well on everything, and just like, not only talking about the pre-nerf and post-nerf state of things, but a really interesting point of view as somebody who has played a lot of Classic. And I mean, he's played on various servers out there before Classic was a thing, and he brings a whole different mindset than a lot of Classic Andies like me brings. Like, I've only really played Classic. But he's played various other servers as well, and has a different perspective than what I have, for example. Really interesting. I really liked it. Good discussion. I did link you guys the link at the start, right? Yeah, I did. I'll link it again.